understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV Report for the week ending Saturday, March 3rd, 2018. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sarah Netzley, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And there are 7 new episodes this week, which I believe is a podcast record.
Yes.
Thus far.
Yes, that's the most we covered. I think we had...
Which means... Yeah, we've had 6 before, but this means no chit-chat, no how was your week, no hey buddy Ed, it's been a while. Nope. Get to it.
So how was your week?
but seriously, how was your week? How you doing? Oh, we do not follow instructions well.
Yeah, it's busy. It's been busy. A lot of things. The Oscars are this weekend. I don't know if anyone knows. Last year, I fulfilled my dream of seeing every Oscar-nominated movie, not just the Best Picture nominees. I mean, every short film, foreign film, documentary, everything.
How'd you do this year?
Before the ceremony, well... we record this on the Friday before, and I just have 6 short films to watch, and all of them are available on Amazon Video.
Oh, nice.
So I plan to view those tomorrow morning, right after I edit this episode.
I have not seen so many movies. I have not seen Shape of Water. I have not seen Darkest Hour. I have not seen Dunkirk. I have not seen Black Panther. I realize it's not up for an Oscar. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm garbage. So I would love at least Shape of Water. I at least want to see Shape of Water before Sunday, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to. This weekend is packed. But you know what? I have seen Call Me by Your Name. I have seen 3 billboards outside of so I feel like I'm in good shape. I've seen Lady Bird, I've seen Get Out, so I can be angry when the ones I want to win are snubbed, even though I haven't seen the others. I'm prepared for this. I'm prepared for irrational outrage in the flying in the face of logic and reason. So it's very American. Be an American, be like, I haven't seen it, but Get Out should have won. Lady Bird forever.
Hey man, I don't know. I think people are going to be very surprised. I think
Are you thinking 3 billboards? Because that's what I've been seeing. That feels like the safe, conventional, what everybody's like, it's going to win.
There's
choice.
the whole should and will, and I'm preparing picks. I think Shape of Water should win, but I have a weird feeling because every time I hear someone from Hollywood in a podcast interview, they always say, "Yeah, but Get Out was so good." I think Get Out actually has a legitimate shot to spoil everything and be a huge surprise.
That would be amazing for so many reasons, not the least of which it's genre, it's minority led. It's enjoyable. It was hella fun. Ugh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's the best movie, but I think it's a really good movie, and I think people feel really good talking about it. So
I think it's a movie we'll be watching in 5 or 10 years. And I know that that's not what the Oscars look for, but I think it's one that's going to have a little bit more staying power.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I always think Oscar goes with the safe picks. And I feel like I think if you're going to go for Best Picture, you need to push the limits of the genre.
Well, and they've made an effort to increase membership for young, for diverse, for something other than 80-year-old white people. So that might make a difference too. I'll be really curious to see that. I am bringing a peaches and cream pie to the Oscar party I'm going to on behalf of Call Me by Your Name. Filthy joke alert. I know we're also serving The Shape of Watermelon. I believe somebody's bringing 3 cheese boards outside of Peoria, Illinois. So we get really into our themed foods, and I'm real excited about that.
You have an Oscar party.
Oh, Ed, come to the Midwest sometime. Wow. You would love our Oscar party. You would be like the star.
Wow.
We do it. You have to fill out your picks. You would probably win everything. So some year.
Yeah. All my friends, when I tell them I'm into the Oscars, they go, "Yeah, that's good for you." Yeah, I keep like trying to get to, hey, Bill, maybe do like a live Facebook thing, or and I don't know, maybe next year, we'll see.
Maybe DC TV Report does this next year, since we're the ones with class, taste, and culture. Yeah, I said it. Wow. I said it, Bill.
Well,
by the way, our no small talk really.
Yeah. So that's the movie talk for this week. You ready? You ready to jump into it?
Yeah. You want to start with Lucifer?
Yeah. So let's kick it off with Lucifer, season 3, episode 15, High School Poppycock. Chloe and Lucifer's investigation into the murder of a sci-fi teen drama novelist led them to go undercover at a high school reunion. Maze upped the ante, trying to make Dr. Linda and Amenadiel feel uncomfortable and guilty about their relationship. Last-minute reveal, while giving Chloe the prom dance she never had, Lucy realized that he can help Pierce by going back in time and preventing him from killing his brother.
Boy, this was a busy episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because there were only 2 main plot lines.
But they were crammed. I felt like you could have done a whole episode just about the best-selling author and her inspiration and the real-life people who inspired the characters. And then you could have had a whole other episode just with the high school reunion stuff. And they did both. And I feel like I didn't get enough time with either plot line for it to really pay off. So I was actually a little disappointed in this episode. It was like, the Stefan sketches from SNL? This episode has everything. Improv, mopping, a bad blind date, a dead author, a 2-person prom, a neon party. Like, any 3 of those things would have been a great episode, but they threw all of them in, and it just felt really overstuffed to me. But I enjoyed the YA author stuff. I've accidentally stayed up all night reading books. I feel you there, Chloe. I get it. The Blade Runner vibe of the ice cream shop there at the end in the dark, that had to be an intentional homage to like genre noir, right?
Yeah.
Just say yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, am I being too critical there?
No. I think I don't know. I enjoyed it for what it was. I really liked the back and forth. I thought it was a little weird for Chloe got so into this, it felt a little out of character for her. But it was fun, so I went with it.
That typically when I criticize Lucifer, I end up shrugging and saying, but I enjoy the actors, the characters, and the show so much it doesn't really matter because I'll go along for the ride.
Yeah, and what's funny is I think the really juicier plot line here was the Dr. Linda, Amenadiel, and Maze storyline.
So who's right and who's wrong there? Is it fair of Maze to ask them to break up? Was it fair of the couple to sneak around? I genuinely see everybody's sides in this scenario.
Yeah, I don't get Maze. I mean, I don't understand why she can't just be happy for them. I feel this feels very contrived to me. I don't ever remember Maze and Amenadiel being a thing. It feels like it's like a passing thing that they went off with, like, I don't ever remember like this, but Dr. Linda and Amenadiel's relationship actually feels like genuine, like they have something going there.
I would diagnose it as a little bit of, I don't want him, but I don't want anybody else to have him. So strange proprietariness over him, plus concern about being left out. She's used to Linda being her BFF. And if Linda's going to couple up with somebody else, and worst of all, an ex, then she is not part of the group anymore. She's going to lose Linda a little bit. So, that's, I kind of see it, but I agree it's a little irrational. But Linda and Amenadiel knew what they were doing when they were sneaking around. So, I think probably mostly Maze is in the wrong, but I also kind of see the point. And I loved when Linda made the point, this took us away from who we are. The lying and the sneaking around, that's not who we are. And it's changed us, and that's not good. And so it's not just Maze, it's what this has done to us. And that was such an adult reason to end a relationship. But I hope it's not over forever because I still like them together. Yeah,
and you know what? Our buddy Dan from over on Twitter at Deke273 pointed out that his winner for the week, at least at that point in time, was Dr. Linda, because she put up with a lot and had to make a heartbreaking decision with maturity and intelligence.
Linda is always kind of my baseline winner of the week, just every week, all the time. But I agree. I think she showed a lot of empathy and maturity and selflessness. In some ways, I wish she'd be a little more selfish. I didn't think it was fair for Maze to make her feel bad for choosing herself, because she really does listen to everybody's problems. That's literally her job. But
Although I will say, bringing Todd and having that double date was the best killing two birds with one stone I've ever seen.
Todd makes his own toothpaste.
It was great.
And I will say, the prom for two that Lucifer threw for Chloe because she never got to go to prom, very sweet gesture. The show apparently suddenly remembered, oh yeah, these two are supposed to have tender feelings for each other. But at least 40% of the fun of prom is the dress. And then like 30% is the date. And then the other 20% is, I don't know, the limo ride. Stealing your parents' car, anyway. But the fact that Lucifer didn't know that and didn't get Chloe a dress, it felt like a Lucifer thing to have said, I bought you this extravagant dress, put it on, and have that Cinderella moment. That I was a little disappointed, but maybe that's shallow of me. I would have been like, oh, but I didn't get a dress. Oh.
You want a dress? I have 3 in the back.
Right. Lucifer would have dresses. He would have fancy prom dresses. And probably Chloe would be like, I'm not putting those on. Those were on your skanks. And, she'd be right. But Lucifer would have thought about the costuming, I feel like. But still, it was lovely. It was a lovely moment.
Yeah. I thought it was great. I thought, you know what? It's weird because it's a flow of the scene thing. Taking the time to put her in that dress would have hurt the flow of that scene. I think it's cooler if he just immediately dims the lights and
yeah. But she could have had her she's all that moment when she comes in all made over.
Yeah. Well, she got the corsage.
That's true. She got the corsage, and she got to dance with Tom Ellis. That elevates pretty much anything.
Yeah.
And because I always forget to pimp my stuff, I did recap this for entertainmentweekly.com, so you can find my thoughts fleshed out on this episode there.
Cool.
Before I forget.
Yeah. All right. Was there any news from Lucifer this week?
Couple of little bits of news. One is an interview with Tom Ellis that he did with the Hollywood Reporter. He said if the show gets a season 4, and he did use if, he'd like to see it skew a little bit darker and a little bit away from the all sunny kind of storylines. And I don't know, Dark Lucifer, when we see those flashes, I always really enjoy that. So I don't know if it would be as effective if we saw it more, or if we had less bouncy storylines, if that would change the show too much. But he'd like some darkness. He also said that his dream guest star on the show would be Tom Hanks, because he feels like Tom Hanks approaches everything with his inner child sort of at the forefront. And I mean, isn't Tom Hanks kind of your personal real life dream guest star?
Oh yeah.
He would be mine.
Yeah, he's America's dad.
He is.
But if he comes on the show and actually plays God, that's
oh my God. Can you imagine? And God's just a really good guy all along, and Lucifer's been the one who's been the petulant, awful child. And it's Tom Hanks, and he's just like, but my son, I just wanted to be your bosom buddy. That's all.
Hey, you seemed like you had a lot of things going on there. I just wanted to give you some space to figure it out. Whenever you want to come home, you're happy to hang around the house. We'll have your Thanksgiving dinner if you want. Was that an impression, or was I just like, I don't know?
I don't know. I just want Tom Hanks to be my dad, or God.
Yeah,
really, either one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you want a great story about Tom Hanks being someone's dad? Go watch The Great Buck Howard with Colin Hanks and John Malkovich. Tom Hanks is a great scene in there. Cool. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. One last little bit of news. The March 19th episode features a serial killer who targets couples in love.
Ooh, okay. I was about to say, how many couples are not in love? And then I realized, probably a lot more than you think.
Have you seen the divorce rate? Married to a divorce attorney, let me tell you. Quite a few.
All right.
Speaking of doing dark, so that's all I have for Lucifer. How about you?
Yeah, I think we covered. Okay, we've got a good pace. Let's go here. We got 7 episodes to cover. We can do this in an orderly fashion. And still have great content. Watch, or listen. That would probably be easier physically. Okay, moving on to DC's Legends of Tomorrow. Season 3, Episode 12, The Curse of the Earth Totem. Sara and Agent Sharp tried going on a normal first date. The other legends traveled to the Bahamas in 1717 looking for the Earth Totem, and Amaya built up her confidence challenging Blackbeard. Rip took Wally West for a fun night drinking and snatching time tools from Gary. Last minute reveal: after feeling guilty for nearly killing Nora with his anti-magic pistol, Ray gave her a cure and ended up getting captured.
Ray is just too pure for this world.
Yeah. The second he shows up there, it's like, oh no.
Oh, Raymond.
Oh no.
Well,
it's like the second he tosses you Vixen's totem, you've got to just like open that portal and run.
Yep.
You cannot waste time.
Yeah. But that's beside the point. I have 2 words for you regarding this episode, and those words are drunk karaoke.
That is the funniest cutaway on DC TV this season so far. Is where would they possibly go? Just run away and celebrate? Because Tokyo, 1992. Why 1992?
Because the pants were high-waisted and drab, and the songs were cheesy and saxophony. I don't know.
I mean, I always thought that song was like late 80s.
Well, that's why it's in karaoke bars at that point, because it takes a couple of years to trickle down, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know what your background is with karaoke, but
oh no, I've never been to a karaoke bar. I've done karaoke on cruise ships, and in backyards of friends who like hearing me speak rap lyrics because I don't sing them.
I've gone to karaoke bars.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
It is. So you're gonna come for the Oscar party. We'll take you to the karaoke bars. We've got a whole weekend planned. Okay. 2019, mark it down. Anyway, but no, I'm digging that. I like the way they're introducing Wally to the world, and they're pairing him with Rip. They're giving us a little bit of that, and it does sort of increase my anticipation for how are they going to get folded back on the Wave Rider? How are they going to get folded into the crowd there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I mean, this whole storyline seemed really kind of extraneous. Like, I feel like you can also pull it out of this episode and it wouldn't mean anything. Sure. But they made it so fun. And I feel like half of it was for the music. Just that I have had Careless Whisper in the back of my head for the last 5 days, just on a loop. I had to watch the music video to remember the lyrics properly. Just because
I'm sorry, are the lyrics not
well, no, just it's the chorus. It's never gonna dance again. Got no rhythm. I couldn't remember what comes next.
Oh, it's easy to pretend. I know you're not a fool. Okay,
yeah, I know you're not a fool. That was the line I couldn't remember. It just kept. Anyway. So yeah, we went to the Bahamas. Wasn't like Vixen awesome this week?
She was. I don't think I've ever enjoyed her more than this episode. She was great. I enjoyed Nate again. I don't know what they're doing with Nate, but I'm liking him for 2 straight episodes. And let me tell you, that was some sexy pirate foreplay there at the end. Rawr.
Yeah.
Right? But there was great lady power. With Vixen, with Sara and Ava, setting aside the date, which of course we'll talk about, but when they just throw down and start to fight, good stuff. Good stuff this week.
Like, I actually wanted to see a whole season of her captaining a pirate ship. Like,
I would totally watch that.
I would be so.
And then we cut away ever so often to the 90s karaoke bar.
Yeah. And I love the one thing with Legends, they this show doesn't have any qualms about making big historical figures, legends if you will, seem not all they're cracked up to be in the history books. Blackbeard is basically he'll back down the second anyone challenges him. He's kind of a weasel.
And truly, when the label on the bottle switched to her, that was I gave a little fist pump. That was exciting.
Yeah, and and Sara and Agent Sharp, Sara and Ava.
About time. I loved the date shenanigans, trying to keep it together for the date and sneaking off, and it was the perfect date for them, was it not?
Yes, it was. It was, and like she looked stunning. Ava looked stunning in that dress.
They both did, but
yeah.
it was nice to see Ava. We've seen Sarah glammed up.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Like we've seen Sarah glammed up. Like we know, like I feel like having Agent Sharp in a pantsuit this whole time, like you know, I was looking about like, wow, she looks really good. So yeah, it was that cool.
You know, I haven't seen any of the later Pirates of the Caribbean movies, but I assume this episode was better than any of them, is my assumption.
Yeah, anything from like halfway through the second one on, this one. Yeah, and although Keith Richards did play Blackbeard in the third one. I don't know if he was in any of the others. I don't think I saw the last one because there's one that came out this year that I missed.
Is Keith Richards low key still playing him like in real life?
Yeah. And you know, Keith Richards will live forever. I think that's yeah.
He's very well preserved. Like he's pickled.
He looks like Gollum. Not Gollum. He looks like Dobby the house elf. Him and Ron Wood. They just they both look like they both look like they've been pruned and hung on a sausage shelf to smoke out.
I would add Larry King to that. Actually, he looks a little bit more like he's constructed out of mortician's wax.
Yeah. I always thought he looked more like an alien, like he came from Roswell. After a certain point, just those eyes, those glasses,
those suspenders.
Yeah, we're talking about Legends. Oh yeah, so
we're talking about Larry King. Hello,
yeah.
Legends. I'm sorry. Continue.
What did you think of the actual Earth totem? You know,
it was a little terrifying. It felt like stealth iZombie marketing. Oh, a zombie. Oh yeah, iZombie's back. So,
yeah. I think it actually reminded me a lot of Poison Ivy's powers that we're going to see later. Talk about later in the episode. But yeah. I thought that was actually, you know, I'm trying to figure out how the hell you control that totem.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
So, I guess we'll find out. And Damien Dark is still around.
Sarah growling, Damien Dark is the whole audience in that moment. Yep, same girl, same.
Yeah. And now someone tried to almost kill Nora, so you know he'll definitely have that axe to grind.
But Ray, sweet pure Ray, just couldn't let it. He helped her because he's made of pure gold.
All right, cool. Is any news for Legends this week?
2 tiny bits of news. The finale's title is The Good, the Bad, and the Cuddly, which indicates, I would say, the return of Bebo, perhaps. I mean, name me a cuddlier person other than Rory, obviously.
Yes.
Let's see. We already know that Constantine's going to be back for the finale. We know that Jonah Hex is going to appear, and now we have confirmation that Jax will be coming back to the Wave Rider, presumably without his powers. I mean, because he lost his powers.
Okay.
I don't know what he'll be bringing to the table, but I will be curious to see him because I do miss him, and I of course miss Martin Stein and memories. Let's see. The March 19th episode, Necromancing the Stone, we've talked about a couple of times in news segments in the past, will feature Constantine again, but it will also have Malice's powers emerging in Sarah, causing her to pick up a totem, and then Rory has to embrace a different totem to try to fight her. So that will be fun.
Wow.
And that's what I've got for Legends this week.
All right. Well, moving right along to iZombie. Season 4 premiere. Are you ready for some zombies? Liv noshed.
Sorry, go.
Liv noshed on deep-fried buffalo brains of a diehard Seahawks fan who worked in a brain mash factory. Ravi's vaccine worked, but he still craved brains and ended up devouring the brain of a nudist inventor. Chase Graves asked Major to try being a youth counselor again, Blaine pissed off Dino, who pulled Angus out of the well. Last minute reveal, Angus waltzed into a mission full of zombies, killed a priest, and called for the crowd to join his crusade and chow!
So they're back.
Yes, they're back from outer space. yeah. I think this is really fun. Let's start with another tweet from our buddy at Deke273, Dan, our buddy Redbeard. He says, "I do have to say that Ravi killed it on iZombie this week, and he wants to know if we agree. And he's so happy to have iZombie back, and we are too." So what do you think of Ravi's storyline?
I thought that was a clever way to approach it because I think we were all expecting either he is or he isn't. We weren't expecting zombie-ish, and yet zombie-ish is what he is.
Yeah, and it seems like he kind of like takes on zombie symptoms for like a couple of days after he's had a brain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's one thing with this show. It's one thing to have Liv running around, taking on the persona of whatever she does, and now you have other characters doing it. It was just great to, anytime you walked into a room with Ravi, he's just standing there naked.
Just calmly naked. Well, that'll be fun. I like that actor and that character so much. So seeing him take on different personalities, if they choose to do that, I suppose they could make it so he primarily is in non-brain cycles when we see him. So maybe this is all we're going to get with him. But I have enjoyed in the past when Major was on different brain. Ravi is going to be fun to toss in there as well. I think it's important that they do keep some of their surrounding people as humans. I don't want Peyton. I don't want Clive to end up as zombies. It's important that we have humans surrounding them, I think.
Yes.
I gotta say, Blaine, evil, cutthroat, vicious Blaine, pining and jealous over Peyton. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
That's what you get. That's what you get.
Oh yeah, no, he deserves it. I don't want them together, but anytime you have the bad boy like that, soft on a dame.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been over this, but like I had like a full breakdown when it was revealed that he'd been lying about Cure about like
oh no, I missed that.
Not having amnesia in last season. Like I just like, oh my god, that is so horrible. That is one of those moments where I had to call Bill Sweeney at like 10 o'clock and just immediately be like, do you believe this? Do you believe this? And he'll be like, what show is this?
Who is this? Who's new phone?
But yeah. So not a fan of Blaine. At least not right now.
You heard the man. All bull pizzles hit the road. Blaine, talking about cemetery to table, he had the best lines this week, I thought.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And it's just, that wheeler dealer. It's interesting. I wonder what if, because I actually think he's a better businessman than his father.
Oh, for sure. I think he's a little more even keel. I mean, and he's not even keel, but I think he's got a better brain for business. Yeah, I like watching him operate. And now that he doesn't have to hide who he is, I think that's going to be a lot of fun because he is off the chain and able to do his thing, be the entrepreneur he was always meant to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Liv deep fried her brains and then baked them in buffalo sauce or some kind of hot sauce.
Has there ever been a brain serving that you wouldn't have wanted to eat? Like, I have never seen her cook something that I was like, nah, I'll pass. Every single thing she does looks amazing.
Yeah. That's why with these recaps, I always do try to mention how the brains are cooked. Because I feel like every time you think like, what else are they going to do? And then somehow they surprise you.
I had the same problem with the TV show Hannibal. Not gonna lie, that's people. I'd still want to eat it.
Now,
let's see. I was excited when we had gotten the news that Major was going to be counseling at-risk zombie teens. And for me, that was just as rewarding as I was hoping. That is his calling. It's what he does. He's good at it. I hate that it's with mixed motivations and manipulation, and it's not as, pure as his job was in season 1. But I'm glad to see him doing that again, and I hope he can actually embrace that, because I want the best for Major. I really like Major.
Yeah, that storyline broke my heart.
I know.
That was so when Chase shows up and it's like, who do you think has it? And he's just he's got to pick two. And
so I'm hoping he can work to subvert that, or undermine that Fillmore Graves mission somehow with those kids. That would be amazing. I don't know that that's what's going to happen, but yeah, you just saw him, a little part of him, die more than it already is, because he is a zombie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where I have to say, for the record, Jason Dohring, who I will always know as Logan Eccles from Veronica Mars, is too damn skinny. I never want to body shame anybody, but so skinny, Jason Dohring. So gaunt. Eat a deep fried brain, my friend.
Who is this?
Graves.
Oh, Chase Graves.
Yeah, Chase Graves. Logan Eccles. I'm sorry. I knew him in Veronica Mars when he was an actual teenager, I think, and he was just a little bit more puffy dog, and that's how I always think of him. So, and this is the thing I'm going to do. You're going to talk about the food she prepared, and I'm going to go through the shirtless Major count. Shirtless Major, 0 this week.
Oh, no shirtless Major. Okay.
Very disappointing.
He wore some tight-fitting shirts.
He gets partial credit for that, but not all the way there. Shirtless Ravi, mini.
All right.
But no, I'm thrilled this back. I didn't super love this episode because the football thing, even for funsies, that's not a thing I particularly enjoy. So that was just a little harder for me.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? They're the 49ers fan was right about Seahawks fans. They are very boisterous and very outspoken and very overconfident. Their team's not that great.
Isn't that all football fans?
You know what?
Is this where our partnership parts ways?
No. It's because when they won the Super Bowl, remember how I said they're not that great, and they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Their team is very, very outspoken, and I think fans of other teams don't like that. Let your actions on the field speak for you. You don't need to tell me you're great. Like, I should be able to figure that out on my own.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. These clips when, I don't know. I was about to go off on a sports tangent. That's not fair. Agent Palmer, you want to know? You can call me later. We'll chat. But not on Sunday, because that's Oscar day, and I gotta prep. Gotta get myself in the right mindset. But
I'm picturing you like football fans prepping for a big game, like face painting things. Do you just paint yourself gold? Not now. I've got to get in the gold mindset.
Oh, yeah. No, I wish. I'm just thinking Goldfinger now. But all right. Was anything else you wanted to chat about for the episode?
Well, in fact, I was just going to transition into news, unless you've got anything else.
Yeah, no, let's go.
Let's see. In fact, we were not being led astray. Angus is going to become the unhinged minister leading a flock of underfed zombies. So that is a through line for the season that we're going to see.
Okay.
He was added to the opening credits. I don't know if anybody else caught that.
Yeah, and he's labeled as the prophet.
The prophet. So definitely that's where they're going. And it is kind of interesting because we had reported in previous episodes of sexual harassment and impropriety allegations against Robert Knepper, the actor. And the show actually kind of did an investigation and saw that there was nothing happening currently on set. So they agreed to let him finish out the season. I see why now. If this is going to be the story for him and he's in the credits, I'm sure when that accusation dropped, they were just like, oh, crap. Because they had built this whole storyline for him this season. So, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting just in light of accusations and the investigation, and here he is in the credits, and it all kind of came together for me. Okay, that's why they did what they did, announced what they announced. So I hope you like zealot zombie preachers.
I'm up for it.
I mean, yeah, this show, for every time it reinvents itself, it never disappoints me. You know, every time it changes the game, it radically alters everything forever. Never once have I thought, ugh, why? So yeah, I'll go along. Let's see. The other little bit of news is the identity of the person who stole the zombie cure from Ravi's lab was supposed to be revealed at the end of last season, season 3. They decided then to reveal it at the beginning of season 4 early on. And now they're saying it's going to be more like the end of season 4 this season. And in fact, that zombie cure is Liv's endgame. Yes, she is solving crimes and she's helping people with her zombie powers, but in the long run, she is going to want to be human and do the things that humans do. So I'm wondering if they're saving that maybe for when the show ends, that the cure will resurface in the final season and we can get unzombie happily ever after.
We can only hope.
No kidding. So that's all the news I have for iZombie, but it's back and I'm so happy.
All right. Ooh, moving right along to The Flash. Season 4, Episode 14, Subject 9. Barry got suspended indefinitely from the CCPD because other cops felt weird about him being arrested for murder. The next bus meta, a rockin' fiddler named Izzy with the power to manipulate sound waves, was able to fend off DeVoe's first attack, but felt overwhelmed when Barry tried to develop her fighting skills too quickly. Harrison developed a dampener to help Cecile sleep easier without being bombarded by Joe's dreams. Last minute reveal, Ralph offered to make Barry a partner in his PI office, and the two of them vowed to double down on their efforts to stop the Thinker.
Oh, stupid Barry. Ugh. Rolling back into the precinct like everybody's going to be like, oh, you're back, buddy. Dudes, they all testified against you, Barry. They're not going to, oh, Barry's back. No, they're going to be like, oh, I testified against him. This is so awkward. Oh my God. What did he expect? What did you expect, Barry?
What do you expect? Come on.
Vicious violin. Assault and battery violin. What did you think?
I love this. I really like that character. I think Izzy was great. I think we need to have a moment of silence for Becky Sharp.
I'm so disappointed that she's gone.
Because it doesn't look like we're going to be able to help Hazard. Hashtag help Hazard has failed. Yeah.
I didn't think she was a super great choice for DeVoe. I like Sugar Lynn Beard, the actress, was a strange fit for DeVoe. And I'm sure that's what they were intending. The chirpy voice and the whole demeanor and mannerisms just made for a very strange juxtaposition. I still am sad with how that ended, and I don't know how I feel about DeVoe jumping from body to body like this every week. I don't know. I don't think I liked this episode as much as you did. Maybe I just had a grumpy week. I feel like every episode I was a little on, but
Well, I mean, I really liked her rapport with Ralph. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool. I think we got some good development out of Ralph. Even though like he seemed really upset to lose someone who he just met a few hours before. But still, I do think, you do see that resonate, and, to see anyone go like that, it's got to be devastating.
And the way that was performed, with the keep looking at me, keep your eyes on me, that was really devastating. I mean, that would have taken a lot of moxie to hold yourself accountable, to stare at this woman while, she's dying, I guess.
Well, and I don't know. I want to see them go like what actually happens when he, I guess it's just like a shell that's left of the, like, is there any of that old person that's still there, or is it just a carcass now?
Spoilers for the final season of the television show Angel, but I look at it as what, the ancient god did to Fred. And I'm kicking myself that I can't remember it, but Fred was just gone and the god was in her body, and that's what it was. So I kind of look at it that way, that the human is just erased, scrubbed out, and all you have is DeVoe.
Yeah.
Creepy DeVoe. And I am starting to think he's going to go for Barry's body. They've really made a point of saying these bodies are wearing out. We need more healing factor, and that's Barry Allen.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and how about that tacked on Cecile and Harrison storyline? Because like we've paid these two actors, we need them to do something this week.
I always like seeing a show throw together two characters we don't see interact very often, but I didn't find this organic or comfortable or all that interesting. And I don't usually say that about Harrison Wells. I really haven't enjoyed Cecile this season. Again, I think I was just really grumpy when I watched this, but I wasn't there for it. I didn't need it.
I just wanted one scene of her in bed just hearing Joe's thoughts.
A scene of her just glaring at poor Joe who's asleep, that would be,
because some of the stuff that she was describing was priceless, I thought. And it's like, oh, why can't we just get one of her in bed? And then I don't know. And Jesse L. Martin wasn't even in this episode. I guess he got the week off.
I wonder what guest episode he was filming of another show someplace not in Canada.
Yeah. I mean, I think the storylines now. Do you think? I'm trying to figure out like they've got to find a way by the end of the season to like clear Barry's names, that he can get back with the CCPD, because I think him and Ralph running a PI firm, that seems like a stretch. That seems like
stretch, elongated, man.
Yeah. But I mean, like even though they're like kind of friends now,
well, those two would just never be able to work together like that. There's no way. Yeah, and I don't know, how do you, you've already shown quote quote DeVoe, so how else can you clear Barry? I don't know what else you can do. It just makes me think about that whole trial storyline again, and it angers up my blood. So, I don't know what the solution is there, but the police department feels like a super uncomfortable place for Barry right now.
I mean, I think catching Marlize actually might help.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, did you notice on Izzy's website, she had a blog, and she's mentioned on her blog that her Blue Valley show was canceled because of some sort of starfish situation.
Oh, wow.
Which, deep cut, but that's referring to Wally mentioned fighting an outer space starfish, which I believe refers to Starro the Conqueror.
Yes, it does. I
would defer to you, my DC expert.
Yes, the villain from the first ever appearance of the Justice League in Brave and the Bold. I think it was 29, way back in the late 50s, early 60s. Starro the Conqueror. I saw someone do a cosplay at New York Comic Con in a Starro outfit, and it was enormous. Yes.
Was it breathtaking?
Yeah, and he had like little action figures of the Justice League hanging off each tentacle. It was adorable. And hearing that guy ask Jim Lee and Dan Didio, when they're going to get serious with Justice League, I thought that at a panel that was. Only better costume I can think of was a guy who had these two orange paint cans at his knees, and he wore a Guardians of Oa costume, like from the Guardians from the Green Lantern Corps, and so he just made it like he was a Guardian who were short, but that he was just standing on these two orange paint cans that were covering the rest of his legs. But so back to the Flash.
No, let's talk about the starfish situation some more.
So I mean, we got a little bit of movement on this episode. We're heading towards. I feel like there's only 3 bus metas left. Do you think we're going to get them in each of the next 3 episodes? Or are they going to spread that out more?
Good question. I bet they spread them out a little bit. Mm-hmm. But this does transition into some of our news. Is this a good time to do that?
Go for it.
So the hashtag show found some casting calls that suggest that we have identified the last of the 3 bus metas. And those are Null, Crucifer and Folded Man, which have to be made up.
I mean, I'm sure they're real. I don't really recognize any of those names. They're probably deep cuts. I mean, we've had Black Bison in this run so far. So I don't know. Now, there was speculation on the hashtag show's part, right? That wasn't confirmed.
Yeah. I believe Null was pretty certain, but the other two were just a little bit like, okay, we're describing it like this, so it's probably this. I will say Null, they reported, is going to be race and gender swapped, so they're looking for a black woman to play Null. And the conversation was, because it is such a deep cut, it's not like you're going to have legions of Null fans who are like, that's not my Null, shakes fist, and that you can kind of cast whoever you want, because these are not characters that people know all that well. So they can go with interesting actors or, the best choice. So that's kind of cool. It would be interesting if they did them bang, bang, bang. How many episodes do we have left? This was, I guess I can just scroll up and see. This was 14.
So they usually do 23. So we got 9 more left.
Well, if it were me, I'd spread them out a little bit just to break up the meta and the Barry trying to get back in with the police or whatever. So.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. Like now I want King Shark or Gorilla Grodd to show up just to mix things up for a week or two.
I want King Shark to fight Gorilla Grodd. Can we see that?
We can only afford one of those.
I was going to say, we don't have the CGI for that, Captain. Let's see. Other bit of news. Violet Bean, who plays Jessie Quick, has been cast as the lead on a pilot that CBS has not picked up yet. But if they do, she would be committed to a full series on CBS, which doesn't look good for Jessie appearances, except that Greg Berlanti, Arrowverse super producer, also is producing the show she has been cast in. So presumably he would make her available for Jessie Quick purposes if necessary. But honestly, I don't know. Will the absence of Jessie really affect the storylines all that much? It's mostly Harrison at this point who just mopes about it, and that's about it.
Yeah. I don't really know. I mean, I don't see that being a big deal. I mean, pilots, any TV pilot, it's always a long shot anyway. So, this may not, we odds are we won't have to worry about this, but if you just say good for her, congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, hey, even to be cast as the lead in a pilot that hasn't been picked up, good for you, Violet Bean.
Yeah.
You go, Violet Bean.
All right. Was that it for the news?
That's it for Flash.
All right. Time to dive in here. So, Black Lightning, Season 1, Episode 6. 3 Sevens, The Book of Thunder. Jefferson became more determined than ever to kill Tobias Whale in cold blood, and Gamby put out all the stops to try and convince him that was a bad idea. Jennifer had a rough time getting cyberbullied, and her relationship with Khalil hit a breaking point. Backlash to a protest against a Confederate statue drew Anissa to make her first public appearance as Thunder. Lynn's medical research showed similarities between Jefferson's brain scans after using his powers and people who overdosed on green light. Last minute reveal, after getting a concussion from a knockdown fight, Anissa woke up to learn that her dad is Black Lightning.
I really liked this episode. This may have been my favorite Black Lightning episode so far.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was the father-daughter. It was Lynn realizing what her daughter is and what she wants to do, and her Anissa realizing who her dad is, and her dad realizing what it was that trio dynamic there, I think, that carried this for me. Because, damn, this was heavy with real-world issues. I mean, this was...
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, I thought the Jennifer story was cool. Like, that was another, like, this show is gonna. I gotta watch this show. Like, I didn't expect this kind of that whole thing with her and Khalil to be happening in a superhero show. But it was. Yeah.
He called her Becky. Ouch, Khalil. Dang.
And I thought the Anissa stuff was great. The Gamby and Jefferson storyline got grating to me after a while, because I felt like they just kept repeating the same arguments over and over again.
My notes on this is just that Gamby isn't working for me, and his dirty laundry had better be really good. Like, the reveal of his motivation or whatever is going on with him had better be really strong, because it is getting a little, we're treading the same path here. Yeah.
And you actually, I mean, you learn that, he has this agreement with Lady Eve, because he goes to visit her. And she mentions some kind of thing where he's like ex-CIA, and you're almost trying to wonder like what are the circumstances that he and Jefferson kind of came into contact, or like he, it feels like he kind of like raised him a little bit after Jefferson's dad was killed.
Nothing about this show makes me think they're not going to pull this off. I just am a little impatient. Kind of like, I don't want to get too spoilery with Lucifer, but there's a character this season who has some mysterious motivation, and my patience was sorely tested on that. And the reveal has been pretty good, but I'm hoping that they land this. Speaking of the death of Jefferson's father, how old is Tobias Whale? Oh, he killed Jefferson's dad when Jefferson was wee.
Well,
how old is Tobias?
Remember,
like
he's found a way that he can't feel pain anymore. At least that's what he told Khalil. So maybe he's beaten aging too.
Maybe.
I mean, my guess is he was meant to be look a lot younger in that scene, and they just like, no, we can't afford to let you shave this week.
We can't afford the wrinkle smoothing CGI. Sorry, man. Just sleep really well the night before. Go to bed early. Drink a lot of water.
And it's the kind of thing where it's like sepia tones. They did the whole, the thing that Black Lightning does with all the flashbacks.
But yeah, I started counting up that how many years would that be in between? How is he still like fearsome, roaming the streets? Dude, good for him. That's a long life for somebody in his line of work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that happened when he was like 22, and now he's probably like in his 40s.
How old is Jefferson, though? He didn't look more than 10. I assume he's at least in his 40s. Ugh, let's not go down this rabbit hole, but it just made me wonder. But seriously, this episode tackled police violence against people of color, racial cyberbullying, the idea of crabs in a barrel. Charlottesville, they literally have people chanting, "You will not replace us." The woman who was killed in the protests. Also, albinos apparently have a higher incidence of skin cancer. I mean, like, I learned a lot, and it was real heavy, but I really dug this episode.
Yeah. And there was a lot to like. I really love Anissa's costume. And
everything about her is great.
And you know what? It's the kind of thing where, like, I think I talked about last week. Wildstorm Comics was this thing in Image where a lot of characters wouldn't have a mask; they just like spray paint over their eyes, and like she kind of did that with like the makeup. Ended up forming her mask. She didn't actually have like a physical mask, and you know what? She went toe to toe with her dad for a little while, and he didn't figure it out.
Yeah,
until after he already knocked her out cold.
And at first I was bothered, but then I thought, I guess if you're fighting someone and it's somebody who you think is menacing your ex-wife who you still are in love with, you're probably not going to stop and be like, are those features familiar? Is that no, you're just going to be like, get away from my wife.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will give him a pass.
Yeah. And you know what, like that's the cliche is always when two heroes meet each other, they have to fight until halfway through the fight when they figure out that they're both heroes. And, and this was the one time I've actually watched that. And instead of being like, all right, let's get on to this and tell your friends, I actually went, no, you don't know. You don't understand. Stop. That was a jam-packed emotional scene. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I've been anticipating this since the show started, and I realized, oh, she doesn't know, he doesn't know. I didn't know what kind of relationship they were going to have going in. Was he aware? Was he training her? I had no idea. So since I realized that nobody knew, I've been looking forward to this. I also super enjoy, you've got scenes of the two sisters talking to each other, the mom talking to one of the daughters about math and science and just all these, you can't be what you don't see of it all, the accomplishments in the STEM fields and seeing it represented and celebrated and lifted up. And it's just good stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Cool. Anything more to cover in the episode?
Just a little bit of news.
All right. What do we got?
And that is that the March 20th episode is called Little Black Lies, and we are finally going to get our Jefferson versus Gamby showdown. And I don't know, it's reported that it is a Jefferson versus Gamby kind of episode. I don't know if it's going to be if it's going to take care of everything. I just know that they are going to address some of those issues in that relationship on March 20th. So I am excited about that. James Reamer did an interview with comicbook.com and described the relationship between Jefferson and Gamby as very much like Arthur and Merlin, where Arthur is sort of the goer and the doer and the fighter, and Merlin sits back and pulls strings and manipulates and court intrigue and things like that. And so that's very Gamby and Jefferson. And I liked that comparison. Thought that was cool.
Great pull. Yeah, I think that's great. That's perfect.
And it made me think of the Disney Sword in the Stone version, which always makes me happy. So, yeah. That's one of those movies I watched over and over again when I was a little kid. That and the Disney Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Those are my go-to. There's a lot of versions of Robin Hood and Camelot stories out there, but for me, it's the Disney versions that reign supreme.
Here comes Robin Hood running through the forest. I can't remember the lyrics, but
talking back. Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest, talking back and forth about the others had to say. Okay, we have to stop singing songs.
So, yeah. All right. So that's Black Lightning for this week. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Next week's gonna be tough. That's gonna be a tough conversation. Looking forward to it. All right, another new show came back this week.
Yes.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Gotham, Season 4, Episode 12, A Dark Night, Pieces of a Broken Mirror. Lee began to put into full force her campaign to unite the Narrows. Jim tried tracking down a weirdo making bombs out of antique toys. Fresh out of her cocoon, an older and seemingly lethal to the touch Ivy got her bearings and tried reconnecting with Selena. Alfred adjusted to life without Bruce and befriended a waitress with horrible taste in boyfriends. Last minute reveal, Jim offered Harvey his badge back, and Harvey told him to hit the bricks.
That cocoon was so gross.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if it was like a cocoon because it's a plant, but
it looked really larval to me, which surprised me. I thought they'd do something a little more plant based.
Yeah, like it would bloom or something.
Cellulose based. Yeah, but it was gross. And then she walked around all episode with like dried chunks of viscera in her hair. So gross, but effective.
Yeah. Also, I don't know. For some reason, it bothered me that everyone kept calling her a redhead because I feel like her hair was too dark to tell.
It was covered in the cocoon afterbirth. Ugh.
Yeah, but I mean, like even like the scenes of her in the nightclub.
Yeah, that's true.
I just feel like okay, she's got dark hair. I couldn't tell like maybe in a close up later on you could see kind of like the red reflection, but.
Yeah, maybe they're referencing too much what we know from the comics, and they're trying to make that work in a way that doesn't track with what we see on the show itself. You think the women who are cast to play Ivy, they're like, listen, we can recast you at the drop of a hat, so don't take anything from craft services. You're not getting a raise. You don't get your own trailer. We will recast you. We still have the cocoon. And they're like, okay, I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. So much going on in this episode. Did you even notice that we didn't touch on Oswald and Jerome in prison together?
Not until we got to the next week on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then I was like, oh yeah, we didn't get to Oswald at all. And we barely did Bruce. It wasn't. The Bruce Alfred thing is really what's pulling me along. We didn't also get Sophia. She wasn't in this at all, was she? She was mentioned, but she didn't appear.
Yeah. You saw Jim getting a call from her, and then stepping out to take it, but you didn't actually see her on screen.
Yep. So I'm guessing we're going to have the same setup where Gotham just sort of hopscotches back and forth every week between the various storylines, which they do really well. I mean, generally.
Yeah.
I love that Jim Gordon is the guy who would not get the riddle, I can't operate on this patient for he is my son, with his, the doc, where is he? Who tried to kill this man, the doctor? This manly doctor, who tried to kill him? Oh, Jim. Your serious girlfriend was a doctor. Your pregnant fiance was a doctor. But no, I did. I mean, as soon as he was like, well, who is he? I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was Barbara wasn't in this a lot, but I thought that was a great scenery chewing moment for her. Yeah. I mean, that story. I mean, you know what's funny? Like, I with the Alfred scenes this week, I feel like I was watching a different show.
Yes.
I feel like is it John Pertwee or Sean Pertwee? I always get confused. Which one?
Sean.
Sean. Okay, and his dad played Doctor Who.
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like he just decided to go off and make this this quaint little short film about a guy who meets a waitress.
He's just trying to start over in a new neighborhood. Doesn't have a lot of money, but does have a lot of hope.
Yeah, and and that escalated really fast.
Badly, dude. That was. I don't usually think of this show as being a show that like refrigerates people. Nobody stays dead. I mean, everybody always comes back, but they really killed that waitress real fast and real brutally. Yikes!
Yeah, like that was so horrible. I mean,
and they just kept showing her poor dead face.
Because you had to see the ring marks.
Did you have to see them? A lot of close-ups on that face.
Yeah, that was really brutal. Like that's like this is network television at 8:00. I was really surprised with that. Oh, one big shout out, I think, because the first act of this show, they did a whole thing with the rolling camera, and I thought the way that they weaved in and out from scene to scene, really flawlessly, and they set up that everything was happening within like one square block.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really clever.
Well, we reported not long ago that this is the show that got the biggest tax breaks to film in New York, so I guess they had to make that money count for something and do clever things with the cameras.
Yeah, and what was the name of that bad guy with the toy bombs? The
toy fella, the toy bomb fella guy.
Yeah. Because it's not the Toy Man, because that's Winslow Shot from Supergirl, or like it was not the Superman villain, but he may as well have been. But I thought that was really cool. I did mention this in the Twitter feed. There's an episode of Batman the Animated Series called The Gray Ghost. Do you remember that episode?
I do not.
Okay, it's The Gray Ghost, and it's funny because that episode actually featured Adam West. Because Batman discovers that this serial bomber is actually mirroring bombings from an episode of The Great Ghost that he watched as a kid, which was like anyway, and Adam West voices the actor who played the Great Ghost, and he helps Batman solve the crime. But anyway, the Mad Bomber had these like race car toys that were running around, and those were the bombs, and that robot that shows up in there for some reason just reminded me a lot of that moment. It made me think of that. So go check out Batman the Animated Series and watch the Great Ghost episode. Quick shout out there. But and I thought that was cool. I thought this was an original way to use a villain. And I thought the spoiler with Ed.
Well, and of course the reveal, that was big.
Yeah, it definitely shows that he's back in full force.
And by full force, you mean full losing time, blacking out, making evil plans force.
Oh yeah. I'm talking the Riddler is back, and not in the way Ed wanted him to be.
No. Bruce has done terrible things to his hair, and said terrible things to Selena, and I am still not over what he did to Alfred. So Bruce needs to get his life right.
Well, with no adult supervision at all, and that much money, what would you expect?
Nothing. I would expect it to be actually much, much worse. Mm-hmm. Much worse. So really, this is kind of lame, Bruce. It's kind of sad. But I'm glad they haven't forgotten about it. I'm glad they didn't, patch things up over the break. It's not that I want to see Alfred sad and living in the slums at all, but I think it will make the inevitable reckoning that much sweeter. So I am glad that they're dragging that out a little bit. And I like the friction between him and Selena. I as always, enjoy that character and that dynamic the two of them have. So, also, can we talk really quickly about the Sirens commercial? Oh man, It was like an 80. It's like a 1-900 chat line. Call us. Are you lonely? Beautiful girls are waiting to take your call.
Yeah. Oh, and I will say, Selena was the only one who had good hair in that commercial. I don't know what Babs is doing, but that wig, and it's a wig, is a huge mistake. Am I right?
Oh no, yeah. All of those looks were don'ts.
but yeah. Now, quick. Do you think Harvey made the right choice of kept kicking back and letting Jim dig his own grave?
I am really torn on Harvey. On the one hand, I was kind of happy for him. Like, he stepped away, he's tending bar, he's living his life. But I wish there was a little bit more got your back there. So no, I wish he had made a different choice. But Harvey's gonna Harv. So what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think, this show has too many characters to begin with, but I think he needs a rest.
Yeah.
And just let him tend bar and get his head together. And then when he's ready, he'll come back to the force.
Yes. And I do believe that he will. But I like Donald Logue very much as an actor, so I hate to see him benched. But when they use him, they tend to use him really well. So I trust that they'll do that.
All right.
I'm sorry, that frantic scrabbling you just heard was me getting the cat off the keyboard before she stopped the recording. So sorry about that.
All right. Any news from Gotham?
Tiny little bit of news. Ben McKenzie did an interview with TV Line, and he talked about as Jim moves up the GCPD ladder, he learns how much he needs to lean on outside help, like someone like Sophia. That you just can't do it with police alone. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting take on the dynamic that the police have in Gotham. He also mentioned that, Jim is one of the father figures for Bruce, and he's there and he's ready to be a resource to guide him back to his natural Bruce state. Let's see what else. Carmen Bicandova, who plays Selena, did a great interview with comicbookresources.com. She talked about the first day that she filmed with the whip, and that she hadn't practiced with it at all, and everybody kind of assumed that she could just handle it, but whips are actually not that easy. So Ben McKenzie's stunt double worked with her in her trailer for about 40 minutes to get her proficient, and she went out and filmed after that. I thought that was kind of a fun little story. She had a couple of other thoughts about this season and where it's going. She said that Bruce is probably going to listen to Selena in a way that he wouldn't listen to Alfred. So that relationship is going to continue to be present and be developed. And she talked about how Selena and Ivy are going to deal with each other. That Ivy is maybe older technically, but Selena's the more mature one. She's the one who sees the path that Ivy's on as the wrong path. And so I think that will be delicious as Ivy sort of lords her age and beauty over Selena. Selena's going to be like, no, oh, honey. And finally, the interviewer asked if Selena's ready to be Catwoman, and Carmen Bicandova said absolutely not, that there needs to be something that triggers the need for an alter ego. And Selena doesn't have the need to be Catwoman yet. She doesn't need that alter ego yet. Something needs to happen to precipitate that, which I thought was really, really interesting. So great interview with her at CBR.com. And lastly, IO9 reports that we will get the Joker's identity by the end of the season. And it's not Jerome, but it's not Jerome, if you know what I mean. Yes, no, I mean, like, is it Jerome? Is it not? He's involved. Oh my God.
All right.
They've been coy and teasing this forever. The reveal had better be amazing because they've really been building that up. So, and it looks like next week we will get the Oswald Cobblepot Jerome storyline picked back up again.
All right. One more show. We can do this.
We can. Do this. I believe in us.
We can. All right. And it is a doozy. So, Arrow. Season 6, Episode 14, Collision Course. Oliver promised all the city agencies he'd have the money Star City gave Kate and James within 48 hours, and then the accountant told him the money was nowhere to be found. Quentin had Black Siren resting on his couch eating noodles, trying to convince him she is not his daughter! Dinah's blood vengeance went out of control, and Team Arrow raced to track down Siren and get the James money from her before Canary and company could kill her. Last minute reveal, a weak and weary Siren asked a delivery driver for help, claiming she was Laurel Lance.
All right. I almost feel like I'm at the if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all stage about this show. Genuinely, and I recapped this for EW last season. I lived Arrow for a season. I'm not sure I'd still be watching it if I wasn't watching it to talk about it on this podcast. I am so frustrated and irritated with this A-team, B-team nonsense. It's ridiculous. Do the writers step back and be like, high five, we really nailed this. They're going to love it. They're going to eat this up when we feed it to them on their TV screens. Surely not. Surely they're like, oh God, we're so embarrassed. We're so sorry. Because it's a mess. It's a big old mess. Am I being too critical?
Well, I think we got an email this week from someone named Tanya, who I think is a friend of yours.
She is?
Yes.
And her rage is a beautiful thing to behold. And I think that's what you're holding in your hands right now.
Yes. Yeah, I can read this email. And I think this sums it up pretty well. Hey, y'all. First time, long time. We haven't on a long time, so that made me feel really cool. I know. So after watching Arrow this week, I realized that I hate the B team even more than I hated the flashbacks after season 1. They are insufferable. The writing has turned them into inconsistent, whiny, illogical, bratty, second-rate vigilantes and craptastic priorities. They are so annoying to watch, I can't even spare disgust for Quentin being a creepy, insane person. As a matter of fact, I would rather have an entire season of Quentin reenacting his community theater production of Misery than have one more scene of Dinah growl, yelling, acting, or Renee abusing the word hoss. Now that I've vented, here's my question. Is there any way to salvage those characters, or are they permanently ruined, only useful for dramatic death? Because I don't see a way that I forgive them, even if Oliver does. Love the pod. Thanks for always finding the time for random tangents and Ed's comic book knowledge. Shazam. Tanya. There's a PS here. PS, the fact that they are acting like Renee's injuries are Oliver's fault is insane and gross, and I hate them. They started a fight with the Green Arrow. They did. Dummies.
Okay, let me tell you. Tanya hated the flashbacks in earlier seasons, hated them so much. So the fact that she is saying that she hates this even more, that is deep. That is a deep, deep hatred. For me, the only one I think is even minutely redeemable is Curtis, because he has not been as on board with the original Team Arrow hate train. He's been the only one who's been like, oh, maybe we shouldn't. And yet he's gone along with them every time. And most damning of all this week, he hacked John's arm. That's inexcusable. In some ways, that's worse than going after somebody with an axe. Renee. Hoss. So I don't know. I think I'm afraid the writers are going to do some kind of, well, Dinah decided not to kill Black Siren, so she's learned her lesson. So maybe I'm afraid they're going to try to fold him back in with very little atonement. But there's no atonement that's going to fix this because the writing has been breathtakingly awful. And the fact that they think we care about this conflict between the two teams and that we would ever side with the newbies is baffling and maddening. And like I said, I would be fast forwarding through anytime Renee or Dinah is on screen, I'd be fast forwarding if I didn't have to talk about it with you. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah. I think we've had lower points in this show.
Really?
Like Laurel's drinking problem.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Like the flashbacks during season 4 in the Damien Dark season. Like the season 4 flashbacks in particular, I have no memory of.
Was that the one when he was in China?
No, that's season 3.
I didn't.
Season 4 is where he's on the island and because it's Damien Dark's totem, and she's trying to find that like mystic headpiece or whatever.
Oh wow, I have hardcore blocked this out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had magic. Yeah, that's right. Ugh. Wait, Ed, why do we like this show? The more I talk about this,
because it has really good fight scenes. And remember Elicity? You remember Elicity? Remember, like that's a thing.
Okay, thank you.
And I think
You're right. Olicity is a thing. Salmon ladder. Salmon ladder.
ladder.
Okay, I'm back on
Salmon
board.
ladder.
All's
Also,
forgiven,
I
Arrow.
think Felicity and Will baking together was adorable.
Oh, actually, can we pivot to my notes?
Go for it.
Things I enjoyed this week. Oliver telling Laurel he never wants to see her face again. Felicity screaming at the B team about hurting John, and William's bicycle apron. Things I did not enjoy, literally everything else, starting with Oliver making promises he can't keep and ending with every time the B team opened their damn mouths.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think everyone's got to go their separate ways. I even think Curtis kind of like sealed his deal this week.
Yeah, I was willing to let Curtis back into my heart and back onto the A team until the Diggle chip hack. Like, you don't do that. That's Felicity's right. You don't do that to your friend, and you don't do that to your prototype, and you don't do that to a medical necessity to keep this like, what is he going to hack Felicity's spine chip next? Like, that's not, you can't, if you've done it once. Oh, not good.
Now, let me remind you of my fanfic theory for what this season could have been.
Okay.
Do you remember this? Because remember, last season ended with Oliver and Will on the boat with Prometheus, and he died. He kills himself, and supposedly all of Oliver's friends are on the island as it explodes.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking like, okay, everyone's dead. And I had the idea that this season would time jump 5 years, where it's just Will and Oliver fighting crime together, and they flash back to 5 years before of them rebuilding their lives in the aftermath and learning to love each other and deciding to train together.
We would have gotten one episode of that, and it would have been revealed in the final minutes that it was Oliver's coma dream sequence. And then he would have woken up to everything that we're going through.
I'm just saying, I think this show needs a major change in direction.
You know, I really did defend the new members of the team last season. I really thought there was promise there. They took up extra storytelling time, but they were, interesting enough. I was cool with it. But boy, this season, you're right. How do you Renee is beyond saving. So every time he's there, every time he opens his mouth, it just makes everybody angrier. Dinah, I was kind of pleased that we had a canary I liked. I liked her. Mm-hmm. So just incredibly disappointing. Damn it, Arrow. I want to love you, but
yeah, I love these characters last season too, but I'm starting to forget like why they became heroes in the first place.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really sad. This is really sad because I want to like all the shows that we cover. And
yeah, I know. I know. I am so grateful. I mentioned that I recapped this last season. I'm so glad I'm not recapping this season. I honestly don't know how I'd do it. It would just be a whole page full of question marks and then frowny emojis. That would be my recaps. Actually, I'd save a lot of time that way. So
yeah.
The other high point for me was at some point when they were in an alley, you saw a sign for Big Vern's Lounge and Tiki Bar. That sounded like more fun than whatever was happening this week. Let's just hang out at the Tiki Bar.
There we go. All right. So what news do you get from Arrow this week? Anything?
Roy is back next week, which is great. Because Roy will mean more Thea, and because Thea is suiting up. So that I'm hoping will distract us from the B team. And Speedy is one of my favorites. There's a chance that, Roy is always kind of a Livewire character, so I enjoy watching what he'll do. Newsweek did a story suggesting that Roy may be coming back as part of the investigation into Oliver because he took the blame as the Green Arrow. And so is he coming back to prove that he is not? Like, is he being compelled to come back to prove he's not? Is he coming back to say, no, remember guys, I'm the Green Arrow? So there could be a really interesting reason that he returns. So I'm hoping maybe we can set aside these storylines that aren't working and focus on Roy because he is in for a couple of episodes.
Cool.
This season.
Yeah.
And that's really it for Arrow.
Yeah. And remember, he's the Hood, and the Hood died, and then Green Arrow took his place. So, there's a bit of, everyone knows that Roy Harper was the Hood.
I mean, hello. Since he left Arrow, I doubled back and started watching Teen Wolf, and he's so evil on Teen Wolf that it makes me want to watch the early Roy episodes because I have a whole new appreciation for Colton Haynes' particular brand of male beauty and acting and cheekbones. So, are you ready to shift into some news real fast?
All right, let's do this rundown. Let's get it through.
Okay.
New shows.
Supergirl. We have some casting news. Angela Zhao, who you might know from Hell on Wheels on AMC, has been cast as Dr. Grace Parker. She is a youngish woman, and the thought is perhaps we have met our Pestilence, our third world killer, because Ed, you and I both agree. No. It ain't Kara. No. It ain't Lena. So, the other, this one's a longer conversation, but the Mary Sue had a really interesting article about how James Olsen hasn't been given anything to work with on Supergirl at all. He's kind of a boring boyfriend. He's a boring boss. He's a boring superhero. He's just sort of boring. And they compared and contrast how Supergirl deals with race and how Black Lightning deals with race. James Olsen is a black man, but you don't see that in his interactions with his friends, with his coworkers, with his employees, with his girlfriend. But Black Lightning is explicitly grounded in that experience. And so that you can have diversity in a show without really having diversity in some ways, and what a difference it might make. But like I said, that's a much longer conversation, and it's a really interesting one. Yeah. And so go to the Mary Sue, search Jimmy Olsen. It's a fascinating article.
Yeah. One quick thing I will say in that, I don't think it's necessarily that they don't show him being black enough. I think it's more just that character has no personality to begin with, and if they did anything to make him feel personal and interesting, I think it's the diversity of ideas that I think they need to present more with that character.
Yeah, they just don't show him enough, period, to have any kind of, and that's fine because he is so dull, but poor Jimmy. All right, so that's it for Supergirl. Moving on to Krypton, we have a little bit of news because we do have the Krypton premiere coming up this month. A couple of outlets have seen the pilot already. Comicbook.com says the pilot shows tremendous promise. They praise the likable characters. They did say that the pilot shares a lot of DNA with Man of Steel's version of Krypton as this sort of techno dystopia. And they mentioned that it really is heavily based on that John Byrne 80s reboot in the comics. Okay. And Bleeding Cool also says if you didn't like Man of Steel, you're probably not going to like the whole vibe of Krypton.
Okay.
But if you did like it, good news, you're probably going to like Krypton.
Yeah, and I liked all the Krypton stuff from Man of Steel. My problem with that was really just like the last half hour.
Do you want me to channel Uncle Jay and yell at you about how you're wrong?
No, that's okay. I can.
I mean, I offered.
I get enough of that every Saturday. Let's not start that fight again.
Other quick bits of news. Cameron Cuff, who plays Segel, the lead character, Superman's grandfather, describes this version of Krypton as actually quite authoritarian. So concepts like truth and justice that Superman grew up with are completely foreign to them because it is such a caste society that he is growing up without the benefit of Ma and Pa Kent. And so that's going to be very, very different. And you're going to see sort of that compare and contrast of his experience versus, what Superman grew up with. And then Adweek did an interview with Sci-Fi president Chris McCumber, who came right out and said, listen, we're really banking on fans of Superman and DC Comics to tune into this. We're really relying on you guys to turn out and watch this show. So if you're listening to this podcast, I feel like you're probably a fan of DC Comics and or Superman. Sci-Fi president Chris McCumber needs you to watch Krypton.
Wow. I mean, maybe that's just context or something, but that does not sound like a vote of confidence. But hey, you know what? It's quality wins out, right? Well, most of the time,
right?
So yeah. It's, this is the same. We have a new show coming up. And this is the same with iZombie. If we want the show to last, if you want to see another season of that show, you need to tell your friends about it, and you need to get them to tell their friends about it. So if you,
of course, the problem is Sci-Fi has a slight uphill battle in that it is cable, and so I have a lot of cord cutter friends, and it's just a little bit harder sometimes. So it will depend on how well it streams, likely. But I'm hoping it's good, and I'm hoping it's one of those things that I walk up to people, grip their hands in my hands, and say very earnestly, you have to watch this.
Yeah.
Because I do that.
Yeah, and Sci-Fi does have an app on Roku. I use it to watch Channel Zero all the time. So so I'm sure they pay attention to their VOD numbers and their DVR numbers. So yeah, there's that. Cool. I think there's one more news story, right?
Actually, two. Titans has a little bit more casting news. Dwayne Murphy of Degrassi, The Next Generation, and Star Trek Beyond fame has been cast as the Doom Patrol's Larry Negative Man trainer. So we have more casting for Titans. We were talking off air before we started recording that I feel like all we do is hear casting news on Titans. But Ed, you pointed out that it's not full-time cast. We're not going to have a regular appearing every week cast of thousands or anything like that, presumably, if we ever get to see these shows.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like all the casting lately has been for the Doom Patrol, which we don't know. They may just be in one episode. Yeah. Probably more. But, I think they're not even showing up till episode 5. And, we don't know how many episodes the show has. So,
or when we're going to see it, or where, how, or how much it's going to cost. I feel like I'm complaining about this every week, but come on, DC, tell us. Tell us. Speaking of DC, a little bit of news about a show that we have, I think, mentioned, but really don't talk about all that often. The Constantine animated series has a debut date. It will premiere on CW Seed on March 24th.
Cool. I look forward to watching it.
Now, I don't know anything about the running time. Is it going to be similar to the Ray, Ed, that you know of?
Yeah. I think it's going to be those 5-minute mini episodes.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. I, as always, remain delighted that Constantine lives on beyond the cancellation of his NBC show, and I'm looking forward to that later this month.
Yep.
And that's it for news.
All right. So, winners for the week. I'm going to go first. And I think the obvious winner for this week, it was from the first episode I watched of the week, which was Legends. And I think by far and away, the winner this week was George Michael. Because that's how Rip tracked down Wally, was through his iPod. Or it was, his iPhone, just playing Careless Whisper over and over again. And again, that cutaway and that music, it's been in my head all week. So it's definitely dominated my thoughts of DC TV this week. And again, I watched that music video. George Michael had incredible hair.
And piercing beautiful eyes. I mean, like, George Michael had it going on. It still does. I mean, like that's, all right. My winner of the week is from the last episode I watched this week, and that was Gotham. I'm going to give it to Harvey Bullock. And I know we talked about, has he made the right decisions? But listen, this week, Harvey Bullock's visiting brothels and ordering 2 ladies at a time. He is now working as a bartender where he can drink all he wants and ignore people at his will. He gets to menace customers with baseball bats. I feel like Harvey's living his best life.
Yeah.
So he may be shirking responsibilities and letting down his former partner. But for this week, for me, Harvey Bullock, winner of the week.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much. That's the DC TV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
And I'm at Sara Netzley, SARANETZLEY.
Yes, and you can follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our show in your podcast app of choice and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam!